Hi, this is Margaret's from Margaret's Crafts. I wanted to show you how I turned the composition notebooks that you can buy real cheap at Walmart or Target or anywhere, especially at school time, into nice little journals. I finish off my journals completely, including the inside, and it depends on what color my paper is to what color my outside. I even put a marker going down the middle, and then you can also tie it shut. If you want to put any notes or anything like that on the inside. Okay, let's get started. What you need is, for my inside, I like to use cardstock because it's nice and solid and it doesn't, it's nice and thick for the inside. For the outside, I like to use just scrapbooking paper. Now, I have made one with cardstock on the outside. And cardstock is too hard to turn the edges on. So what I did was I cut it to fit the outside completely, just like I did the inside. Everything is cut to fit perfectly on the pages. And this was just plain tan colored cardstock, and I just stamped it, and then I added some embellishments from the Tim Holtz dies. And it seemed as though this would be a sewing journal. I put like Rick Rack. I put like from Tim Holtz their buttons and their like the thread, and then I wound it some thread around it. Okay, the first thing you do to get started is you measure your outside. And what I do is I put my paper together. I slip my paper inside. This is just the way I do it. Right up to where, because I usually cover mine up to this mark here on the journal. Right up to this mark. And I leave my edging down at the bottom for how much I want to turn it. I take a pencil, and after I have it set, I mark where I want to cut this sheet at, and then how far down the front I want to cut it. I mark that on there. Okay, now I just take my journal and set this aside for right now, and I'm going to cut my inside. This is for my outside pieces. Now, on my marked lines is where I'm going to cut. Okay, that's how I mark for my outside pieces. Now for my inside pieces, what I do is I take my cardstock, I do it the same way, except this time I'm going to cut it to fit with leaving like maybe 1/8 of an inch over. And I want everything on the inside covered. So I'm going to bring this all the way over to where I want it covered, leaving my 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to put my first mark line. And pull it all the way over, and then I'm going to pull it up to get my second outside line. Okay, now I'll make those cuts. Once you have your pieces cut, it's really easy to put it together. Now, the last piece I need is for my spine. I'm going to take one of the pieces of cardstock that I had cut, that I had left over. To measure for my spine, I put it in my notebook and push it all the way down. If you can see that, I push it all the way down to the bottom. A lot of times I'll stand it up and make sure it's all the way down. Then I'll make my mark at the top of my book here and cut this last piece out. Okay, for my spine, I like to put my paper at 3.5. You could put it whatever you want it to be. Okay, there are all my cut pieces that I need to do. And for all of my sides, for all of my edges, I'm going to round them. Remember though, for your front and back, they're going to be the opposites. So I put them like a front and back. And then I round my corners. This is just something I do. You don't have to. And for my inside, I round my corners on those too. And for my edge, I like to put a decorative edge on mine. What I do is I don't try to find my middle. I just start at one end. Since it's going to be on the front and the back, it's not going to be exact. I just try to start it on each sides of one of the ends. You don't have to put a decorative edge on it if you don't want to. That's up to you. Just something I like to do. Now you're going to finish cutting down or punching it out. Okay. And there are all the pieces you're going to need all ready to go. Now you take your composition journal. Whatever you do in the front, you're going to do in the back. So I'm just going to show you the front. Okay, you take your front sheet. You make sure it's the right, everything is lined up. I like to make for sure that I'm putting enough tape here at the ends. And then it doesn't matter how much you're going to put over the edges, because you don't have to get exactly to the edge, because this is going to be wrapped around the back. You take your book, line it up with, make for sure you have even marks, even amount on each side. And just spread it down. And I even like to take my bone folder and go down on it. Rub it down real hard with my bone folder. You're going to open up your book. And you're going to take your little scissors, and I like to cut into the ends, and then not all the way to to your notebook on your corners. Okay, you can get your edges started to fold up. And then on the corners, on the corners, put a little bit of tape and then start folding up your corners to make it go around the circle. Now, if you want to use some other kind of glue, I've used glue sticks on these and they work out just fine also. This just happens to be a little faster for the video. I've used both. You're going to do that on both corners, bringing them up. The little slits that you make just makes it turn the corners a lot better. Okay, now you put your tape down. And where you had it started folded, bring it up now. You're going to do this on all three sides. Fold that in. And I like to take my bone folder and give it a little extra pressure, pressing down on it. Now you're going to need some ribbon for your ties, if you want them to have ties. And all you do is you take some ribbon, enough ribbon to tie a bow. For the front and back, put a little piece of tape down. I always like to put the tape on the ribbon and kind of center it. Just like that. Now you're going to take your top piece, your inside piece, and you're going to lay this down and cover up all your lines there. Now let's get that done. This time you want to go very close to your edge. Okay, and all of this line here, I like mine's all covered up. Remember to leave your marks at the top and the bottom. Center it for the top and the bottom. And then just press it down. I got it on a little crooked, but that's okay. I would have taken more time if I was just doing it. Okay, and that's how you do your inside piece. Your back piece, you're going to do the same way. Okay, now you apply your little piece of ribbon, the same as you did for the front, except this time I kind of close my book to make for sure that my ribbon is in the same spot for the tie. And this time I'm going to take another piece of ribbon to act as the book marker. I just lay it across. And all of these, I'm not giving you sizes because all composition books are made differently or made different sizes. This is That's why you measure it to the size of the composition book you have. Now I'm going to lay my marker up here close to the end and leave that sticking out. And then add my inside the same exact way as I did the other part. Let me show you that now. Putting my glue very close to the edge. And lining it up, covering up my marker and leaving the amounts at the top and the bottom. There, that one went on much straighter. It's harder to do things with the camera. And just varnish it down very good. And I like to trim up the ends of my ribbon after I'm all done. Okay, that's doing the front cover and the back cover. Now to do the cover the binding, all I do is I take my piece that I made, I put it on, and this time, if you can see, I'm kind of like putting it around my binding, and I'm trying to make for sure that my ends are about the same. Then I'm just going to do a little crease leaning on the binding, and I'm going to go down to the bottom and do the same thing to make for sure my ends are about the same. It doesn't have to be exact because you're not seeing the front and the back, so if it's a little off, it's okay. Then what I do is I kind of round it around my binding here, and I start with the back, and I put my adhesive on. And I only put mine, this is the way I do mine. I only put it on the back to start it off with. And I do the same thing that I did before, kind of curving it around. This time making for sure that I have it nice and lined up and it's even. And push the top of my back down. Then I'll go to my bottom of my back, curl the front around to get it nice and even. My curve already in it will help me. If I'm a little off, I can lift it up because I haven't pressed it down yet. Since this is the part that's going to be moving all the time. Then I'll take my inside piece here to put my ribbon on. And I'll just measure my ribbon, leaving enough on each side to turn under. I'll put a little piece of tape at the top and the bottom. Bring my ribbon up, and I kind of like turn it over a little bit to see where I want my ribbon to lay. You can do it like this. See where you want your ribbon to lay down at to get it even. Like that. Then I go through my taping. Okay, then you can kind of take your book and kind of roll it over a little bit to get it to get started, and then lay it down. Then I kind of go up underneath my ribbon and kind of varnish it down really good. Now I'm just going to put a bow on the end of it. And I'm going to put the bow right about there in the middle, right across from that. Okay, I added the bow to the outside, and the journal is complete. It's just a tie string here to open it. And it's just the inside is blank with the lines and our page marker. I hope this video was useful for someone. Thank you very much for watching my videos.